Now I will show you how we use the articulator values and the check clearance tool to help make sure that you maintain adequate clearance between the upper and lower jaw throughout the design process. This ensures you don't have thin spots in your appliance in any excursions or protrusive movements. So when the articulator is first, or when the case is first mounted, D3 Splint pre-builds an animation based on the articulator settings that you have in your preferences. You can evaluate those by pressing the check clearance operator. In this case, I'll choose 1.6, which would be my minimum thickness of 1.5 plus a little bit of extra. I'm going to select fast mode for this tutorial because it will speed up the interactivity of checking the clearance. And then color ramp is just a preference. If you like your occlusal marks to be shaded from red to green, choose color ramp. If you just want solid blue, don't check color ramp. Okay, at this point the scene can get a little bit crowded, so I will often hide the articulator. And if you've opened an old case, you might need to do that, but most likely you won't need to enable the articulator visualization. So now I can see the clearance on the lower jaw by looking through the translucent upper jaw. I can now scroll the timeline and visualize areas where the upper and lower jaw are too close to allow for the thickness of the appliance that we want. Particularly right here. Okay, so now if we want to change this by altering some settings in the articulator, these are the steps that I usually run through to get the clearance that I want. So first what I'll do is I'll press the set articulator values, and this will pop up. Now if it helps, I'll turn the articulator back on so we can see, and then I'll hide this one plane. But I'll view the case from the side and I'll press set articulator values. I'll then turn the protrusion up to maximum. I'm going to bring this menu back over here. And then I'll decrease the condyle length to set the range of motion. In this case, 6 is probably fine. Now I'll take the protrusion back to where it's about edge to edge. Then I would increase my incisal guidance until I was able to resolve the clearance in the posterior. If I was unable to do that within a reasonable value of incisal guidance, I might then decide to open my pen and then start the process over. So that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn this back down to about 30 degrees, press OK, change my pen setting, and open the pen slightly. Now, when we come back to that same protrusive setting, we've resolved the collision on these second molar cusps. Next, I'll drive one condyle. Actually, for this, it's better to view from slightly above. Next, I'll drive one condyle through its movement and make sure that we have adequate canine guidance to resolve any collisions. You can see if we have the canine guidance flat, we're getting interferences on the second molars. So I'll keep that at about 20 degrees. Then I would repeat on the opposite side to make sure I don't need to increase that value. And here we see pretty strong interference there. So we could increase our canine guidance, or if we were pretty sure based on cuspal inclines, we could set that same position and then increase our condyle angle, which will tend to decollide the posterior areas. Okay, and that's generally how I walk through this. It's usually a lot more eyeball than that. I kind of take a peek, assess how steep the cusp inclines look, run through things here, make sure I've got the clearance that I need and not an excessive range of movement. Then I stop the check clearance because it accelerates the workflow to have that turned off, and proceed with the rest of the case.